My co-founder calls me, he's like, all right, we have a problem. My bike got stolen. I feel like it's inside this hut, I can't tell. And I was like, shit, I'm in a car. Within 57 minutes of basically me going back and forth 5 times, I managed to finish the application. So I just literally sent the prompt. I'm Antonio. I know quite a few people, but not everyone. I'm gonna be talking about how I found a stolen bike with 5 prompts. So just for some context, I run a subscription e-bike business where people subscribe to our electric bikes. They do whatever they want with them. Sometimes they get stolen, and we have to bear the damage. So this is actually a real example of one of the bikes, and these bikes are very expensive. What happened last month is a bike got stolen. We have GPS on them, but we couldn't get close enough. It basically brought us to like the building, and you can't really tell where it is exactly. So I was thinking like, there has to be a solution, right? And I know that there's Bluetooth within these devices. And I was like, okay, well, it should just work like a Geiger counter, right? Like you just walk around and find the strongest signal. And so this, I don't have a bike, so I can't show you. But this is kind of how it works. I go to the app, I click Arm Beacon. It basically changes the name, the MAC address of the bike. So it, Clover 100, for example. And then it just starts giving me a rough idea of how far I am from the bike. I also did build, it says point me to the bike, which is a compass. So if I spin around like 720 degrees, it will kind of figure out in which direction the bike is, based on the strength, obviously. And then I just kind of follow that signal. So you just walk around like you're hunting Pokemons for a couple of minutes, but eventually you arrive and you find the bike. And the first time we had a bike stolen, we were quite lucky. The police got involved and we got it back. The second time, it was inside the building, and they weren't willing to help us figure out which. And we knew where it was, but it wouldn't really help us that much. So I started. So that day, the first day where we got back, so I was like, all right, let's figure out. We got the Bluetooth working, and I kind of just left it aside, right? Because with AI, you build a million things, you finish 5, because you can just do so many things at the same time. And then we had another theft at the start of this month. I was in a car, not to Germany. I was in London at the time, now that I remember. And basically, my co-founder calls me. He's like, all right, we have a problem. My bike got stolen. I'm there, like where the bike should be, but I feel like it's inside this hut. I can't tell. And I was like, shit, I'm in a car. I'm like, but it's not finished. And he was like, all right, well, we need it, so figure it out. So I just literally sent the prompt. I said, remember the Bluetooth bike finder we made? I need it to hunt for bike VLCB 0100 right now, full stop, stolen, full stop. My friend has an Android. What do we need to do to get it into his hands? That was the first prompt. And he was like, oh, well, if it's on the same Wi-Fi. I was like, no, it's not on the same Wi-Fi. It's in a whole new country. So I can't even spell solution. And it just basically said you can use Vercel to host a temporary page. I had my own version of a booster. Don't know where you're sitting, but anyway, so long story short, we got the bike back. Within 57 minutes of basically me going back and forth 5 times, I managed to finish the application and actually get the bike back. So we found it to the meter, and then the bike was recovered. And that was, so the tool took 20 minutes or an hour and a bit to make. The context is 6 months. So the reason why I was able to do this, and the highlight isn't the Bluetooth app. The highlight is more the fact that I could say, remember the Bluetooth bike finder we made, in a completely new chat that had nothing to do with anything, and it would find it and basically just give me a version I could use within one prompt. The reason I could do that is because I've been building a brain, whatever you want to call it, a context base for my business for the last 6 months. So everything that happens, every email, every Slack message, everything that happens essentially within the business that is digitally recorded is processed within that brain. And it sounds wild and it sounds crazy, but it's actually not that difficult. I still do it locally. I've just got a MacBook Pro that's sitting at home, basically on 24/7. Poor thing, 2019, it's struggling, but it's doing its job, right? And it was as simple as having basically one folder or one file, which if you work with Claude is the MD files. And you just basically say who you are, what the business is, the hard rules that you have, and as much details as you can, but you have to keep it short within that intro. And then it knows who you are. So the first thing that happens when you give it a prompt, it will refer to this file and say, who is talking to me? Okay, this person. And then it will refer to the live state. So I have different folders, different files that basically take historical, present, and future data, right? So it's things that we've done, things that we did wrong, things that we did right, things that we did, tasks that were done, whatever, messages that were exchanged, suppliers that we dealt with, whatever. And then it has the present of what is going on in Clover today. And then it also has what should happen. Like all of this, I have and I'll demo it I'll wait for it to load. I have a chat in Slack where I basically just send ideas. I'll just like sit in bed at 1 a.m. and be like, all right, I have this great idea to do a demo at AI Tinkerers. And then it will take that, put it in a file, and then it will, I can choose whenever I want an AI model to process that idea, put it against my context, and be like, this is a good idea, this is a pretty shit idea, you should actually change this, you should change that, based on all of the things it knows about the business. Literally to the point that when I had to order the new parts for this, I didn't do anything. I don't even know what lock it was. I just said, based on the specs that you have, make an email to the supplier that you know we have to deal with this specific part, and order the part for this specific bike, because it knows the serial number, it knows basically everything. And so that's that side of things. And another important thing as well, if you guys actually look at this, and you really should, it's really changed the way that my business works and the efficiency that I have in my day-to-day. Like I can do so many things in one day just because of this context base. And it just saves me a lot of time because I don't have to explain. I don't have to constantly explain like, I'm Antonio and I'm building Clover, which is a subscription service, and this and this and this and this. I just say, I want to build this, and then it'll build it because it just knows everything about the business. So one important thing that I found over the last 6 months is that as soon as you do something, as soon as an agent does something and completes something, agent, model, whatever you want to call it, chat, it should write back into that brain, into that file folder system that you have, and basically say, we did this, we made a mistake here, Antonio told me, fix the problem without saying any more details, we fixed it doing it this way, don't do this again. So you have a reference point of what you did wrong, what you did right, what you could have done better. And just that happens in the same session. I don't even need to say anything anymore. I used to have to say save to brain, save to memory, prepare for compact, for example, right? Now I don't have to do that anymore because it just automatically does that. Mistakes are assets. I've been talking about the mistakes, and it's very, very valuable because if you can get this thing to understand what's gone wrong, it won't do it again as long as you instruct it very clearly. And the context compounds. It's literally, in the beginning when I first started, I would have to go back 20, 25, 30 prompts, waste hours on one tiny project that should just work. And then I started building this where I started feeding it all of the tech stack that we have. We use Odoo. It's amazing. And slowly, I started getting things right in the first go, where I would literally say, we just had this idea and we want to build it. And it would build it and it would work. Like, actually work. And I'd be like, completely mind blown. So you need the context. And obviously you can't just store it in Claude, in ChatGPT, whatever, because it has a limited window of what it can store and how much it stores. And you can't be specific. So literally go to whatever model that you use and say, I want to build a digital brain database, whatever, for my company. What do I need to do? And just follow those steps. It's super easy. I was at some point thinking like, oh, maybe I should productize it and sell it for 99 euros. I was like, anyone can do it just by asking Claude. So I'm not going to bother doing that. Another thing is, well, this is kind of a repetition this is just a repetition of what I did. But the CLAUDE.md file, as far as I understand, technical people tell me, is the first file that Claude would read in that instance. So that's who you are, what you do, the lessons you've learned, etc. And the whole thing is, it's not, the finder that I made is cool, like it's really cool, we work with hardware, but it was just a Tuesday where I got a phone call that the bike got stolen. I've built this thing which I was talking about, which is this thing called Antis. Essentially, what it does, it takes ideas in, turns it into a to-do list based on whether it determines it's a good idea, bad idea, whatever. I can just basically click a button, or I can just go and run a prompt. It will run all of those tasks that it can automatically do, and etc. Right? This thing is essentially, I'm trying to replace my accountant because he sucks, and I can't find the new one. So I'm just building a thing that it's like an invoice AI man. It takes all the invoices in or whatever. Point is, context. You need to develop your context as much as you can because it will save you so much time and it will put you way ahead of other people that work in your industry. And it saves you a lot of headache because the amount of times that I've had to sit there and argue with my chat is ridiculous. And now I don't really have to do it anymore. So that is the demo.
First off, great demo.
Thanks.
Do you mainly interact with the web interface, or do you actually dig into the files as well?
So I'm at a point where I don't. If anyone knows what Tmux is, I still don't understand exactly what it is. But essentially, I have a laptop at home that has Claude open in terminal, and I can summon that based on different MD files, like my different agents, and I can just open it up and jump in. So I run it from here now. So I can do it on my phone, I can do it on and I just sit on my phone, I jump on this, I tell it like, okay, you need to do this, and then it will go and do it, and it will send me a Telegram or Slack notification when it's done. Or just a link of like, this is what I built, try it out. So that's something that I'm working on. It works, but it needs some extra work. So I just go through the chat, essentially.
You're using this through Dispatch?
No. This is my own thing that I built to manage my individual terminal chats within my laptop at home. So it's just hosted. It's just hosted in Vercel, yeah. The free version too. He was first.
Okay. So I just saw you have a list of ideas, right? And how does your system figure out if this idea is good or not?
All context-based. So we can actually just look at, try to look at, let's see if this actually works. We can look at an example, and this is me just saying, investigate Lyon as a city for expansion. It was captured from Slack by me, and then it basically just says, kill it. Why? Because and it basically just explains why it thinks it can't. Clover cannot yet fund a domestic second city. Very true. We can barely, so we can't fund a second city, kill it. And it based on the context and the knowledge that it has of the business, how much money we have, how much money we're making, how many customers, it will just be like, yeah, this is a great idea, or it's a medium idea. So it's all based on the context that I already have.
On the context, no additional configurations from your side, on the context.
Yeah, look, I've spent a lot of time kind of like trying to make the brain more efficient and take up less storage and take up less tokens when you're looking through it. But from a data point of it's all just things that happen on a daily basis. And it just makes its decisions based on how it knows I interact with it and what we do.